Hello everyone and welcome to my new video on basic plotting in Zorro. Zorro has a lot of features and it can do a lot of things and it's very good at a lot of things. Plotting is unfortunately not one of them. So Zorro does have a lot of plotting functionality, but it's one of the areas where it will probably need some improvement in the future. There is talk inside the Zorro community that an overhaul of the graphics and plotting system is in the works. Um, but until then, we will have to stick with what Zorro got already. So this video is about the basic plotting functionality of Zorro, and it will also discuss some pitfalls and problems that you may encounter and what to do about them. All right, please visit our website, www.algorithmictrading.ml. And don't forget to download the asset fix file from there or build your own because according to the instructions in the previous videos, because without that file, Zorro may not behave in the same way in which you see in my videos. All right, so without any further ado, let's see what we can plot in Zorro. So remember our our very basic moving averages crossover strategy that we called the golden cross and death cross strategy. And uh, remember that it was a slow, a short moving average crossing above or beyond a longer, above slower moving average. And we would take a long position whenever the fast moving average crosses above the slow moving average, and the short position um, if the fast moving average crosses beyond the slow moving average. And we're not gonna go over the optimization and all those things. We know this strategy loses money and it's not a good strategy, but this video is not about that. This video is about plotting. Okay, so in order to keep things simple, all we have here is the bar period set at 1440 minutes, which is one full trading day. And we have the three um, variables that we need. Actually, they're arrays. They're the type of R's, which is the closing prices and the two moving averages, 50 days and 200 days, and the trading logic. Okay. So if we run this, right, what are we getting? Well, not much, right? I mean, we see some sort of an abstract of the results. We see some indications of the performance of the strategy, and how much we made or lost. Actually, we lost money here. We lost 4% a year, but we're not seeing anything else, right? We don't see the trades, we don't see the price, we don't see a chart, and so on and so forth. And we would like to see that. Well, out of the box, in order to see the chart and the trades, to visualize those, you have to click here this button called result, right? Once we do that, we have the detailed performance report here in Notepad++ that it's being printed out by Zorro, but we're not interested in that right now. What we want is the chart, right? So I'm gonna double click this, and now the chart is on the screen. So what do we see here? Well, the black line is the price action, right? It's the price, the closing price of the SPY of the S&P 500 index that we're trading. And then we see the trades here, right? So this is a long trade that was initiated here, but it went against us. it lost money for us, right? And this is why it's depicted in red. Here, this is a bad short, right? It's red, but because it went against us, right? Here, this is a good long, right? This is a good long trade. It was a long trade and it was profitable, and this is why it's green, right? And Zorro plots for us these points, these dots, right, where the trades were initiated or they were closed, right? So again, green means good, profitable. We made money in the green trades. Red means bad, well, means a loss, right? We lost money in these trades here. Okay, but that's it, right? By default, this is all Zorro plots for us, right? And remember, we had to click the result button in order to see this graph, right? So the first thing I wanted to show you, right, was another flag. Remember the parameters flag and the log file flag and the other ones that we talked in the previous videos, talked about in the previous videos. Well, here is another flag that you want to know about, right? Remember the set command, right? And the flag we're setting here is a flag called plot now, right? Look, Zorro is helping us, right? So this flag is very important. Let's see what it does. Okay, I'm gonna save this and I'm gonna run Zorro again, right? Here is what happened, right? I did not have to click the result button at the end, and Zorro is showing me the chart, the graph immediately, and it doesn't show me the detailed results first anymore, right? So remember, let me show you again. Okay, so without this flag, when I run the script, I don't see any graphs, any charts, right? I just see here the abstract, if you will, the most important numbers about the performance of the strategy. If I want to see the chart, the graph, then I have to hit this result button, and even then I will eventually see the graph, well, the chart, but first I have to, well, I don't have to, but I'm closing that results, the detailed results performance report, right? And only after I can see the chart. While if I'm using this set plot now flag, of course you have to save. Now as soon as I run Zorro, I get the chart with the equity curve and the trades and everything immediately. All right. Okay, so this is a useful thing to set this parameter. I'm sorry, this flag. It's a flag, not a parameter. So it's very useful to set it right at the beginning, and keep it like that so you don't have to click result all the time. All right, so what can you plot in Zorro? Well, you can plot a lot of things, and you should plot as much as you can, because visual inspection can point out problems or issues or things that didn't work the way you think they should have worked. And so plotting is really useful, but it works in sort of a weird way in Zorro, and I'll get to that. But for now, let's just use the most basic function for plotting, called unsurprisingly plot. Right? So this function takes four arguments, at least four arguments, and the first one is a string. All right, it's a string. It's a title or a name, if you want. You'll probably want to see on the chart when plotting something what that something was, right? I mean, we knew that in the basic result chart, right? The black line was the price, but if it's something else, moving average or Bollinger Band or something, you have to to type something to identify what you're plotting, right? So let's say that let's plot the moving averages, right? So let's type in here slow moving average, right? So the first argument of the plot function is an explanation, a name, what exactly you're plotting, right? And the second thing that it needs is, of course, the value, right? Well, where are the values stored for the slow moving average, right? Well, they are stored in this variable, in this array, right? The tape is vars, which means it's an array. It's a string of variables, right? It's an array. So this is basically what we want to plot, this series, right? So let's put that in there, right? Zorro is going to help us, right? SMA long, I'm going to click that, right? And then Zorro will want to know what type of a picture do you want, right? How do you want this to happen? Do you want dots? Do you want a line? Do you want triangles, boxes, squares? Zorro can plot many things. So in this case, all we want it's a simple line, right? And this is a predefined type line, right? Please note that you need to type it in caps, in capitals, right? If you do this or this, it's not gonna work. All right, so you have to type it as Zorro expects it, which is in capital letters. And then once we told Zorro that we want a line, we also need to specify what color that line should be, and I will make it blue. All right, so a note about colors here. I think it is in order. So Zorro has some predefined colors. Okay, so Zorro knows by default out of the box what the red, green, blue, cyan, dark blue, light blue, purple, yellow, magenta, blah blah blah, orange. It already knows these colors. Knows them meaning it knows how to generate them, right? If you want a color that is not known by Zorro in this sort of textual fashion, you can always express a color in Zorro in hexadecimal codes, right? Like in HTML, right? Like pound FF000 is red, pound 0000 FF is blue, pound 40 FF00 is green. How do I know these? Well, these values, well, you can always go to w3schools.com. It's a great website for HTML, website design people, if you will. And here you can obtain the hexadecimal code for any color you can think about. Okay, so this is where I got these numbers from, right? I didn't make them up, they're real. So here are the colors that you can use in HTML or in Zorro for that matter, right? If any color you like, you just pick this code here, this hexadecimal number, and you use it instead of the the blue, orange, black, or any other color that Zorro knows. So again, you have a range of predefined colors, but if you want your charts to be fancier with other colors, not as boring as, I don't know, blue, right? Then you can go to W3 schools and or any other place where you can pick hexadecimal codes for your colors and use those. Okay. All right. So what did we accomplish here? Well, we have the strategy. We're losing money. That's not the point. But we're trying to plot, a moving average, the slow one for now. And, of course, we have to save. I think we did. And okay, let's see what happens. So I'm clicking. We have the plot now. The plot now flag set. So we're gonna hit this button, and here is our result, right? So we see the price, the black curve, we see the trades, the red and green lines, and now we see the simple moving average, the slow one, right, that we're using to generate trades, right? So, and it is a line, it is blue, it's a series, right? Remember that we defined it as a series of numbers, of values, right? And it is plotted here. Now, please note that the simple moving average, this series of numbers, is plotted on the same chart as the price action. If you don't tell Zorro to plot it in a separate, panel or window or chart or whatever, it will plot everything on the main chart here unless you tell it otherwise. Okay. All right, so let's plot the slow moving average and see what happens, right, when they cross, right? So plot, again, the arguments, fast moving average, right? And that is stored, that series is stored in an array called SMA short, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's here. And then of course we want again a line, and let's make this one red. Great. So let's save this and run Zorro. Nice. So now we got the price, we got the moving averages, and we got the crossings. Now we can see them, right? So the fast moving averages, average is crossing above here, right? And the long trade is initiated, but the volatility here is very high, and before you know it, this long became a bad long, and the moving average is lagging, of course, behind the price. So we got the cross under here, but it was too late. We lost money on this trade, and the opposite happened here. So as you can see, lag is not your friend. The trend is your friend, but lag is your enemy. So here we have a good long, right? A nice cross here, and then the fast moving average stays above the slow one until up to this point, right, where we exit this trade, and we enter a short trade, which was profitable for a while. But again, the lag here is so large that this ended up being a bad short, although it was a good short, up to, I don't know, down here or there. Anyway, so but this is algorithmic trading, this isn't manual trading, so I would have probably gotten out of this trade somewhere there. But the algo doesn't know that. So anyway, the algo does react to the crossovers. So here you have the plots of the price and the two moving averages. All right, please note, again, please note that these two graphs, the two moving averages are series, right? They are arrays, they are not individual values, right? So why am I saying that? Well, because there are situations where when Zorro will not behave the way you would expect it to. And let me give you an example. So let us define here an integer, a variable called x, right? And let's make it an integer, right? And let's initialize it to, I don't know, 25, okay? So can I plot this? Sure. So what do you think it will happen when we plot this, right? Well, it's one value, right? So you would expect one dot on the screen, right? Um, at a certain point on the x-axis, you would expect to see a dot, a value 25 on the y-axis, right? The y is the price. So the vertical axis is the price, the horizontal axis is time, right? So anyway, but since it's one variable, it's not a series, right? It's not a series like the closing prices or the moving averages, right? You would expect this to be, or at least that's what I expected when I first tried this. You would expect this to be, you know, a dot, a point on the screen. Well, let's save this and run Zorro and see what happens. All right. Nothing happened actually because we forgot, well, I forgot to plot it, right? So we defined the variable, we didn't plot it. So, all right, plot plot strange variable x. Okay, and we're gonna tell Zorro to plot, you know, x, which is 25, of course, but you know, we'll put it there as x. And then we will want a dot, right? So this is another type, right? It's not a line, it's a dot, right? And let's make it, I don't know, orange. Okay. All right, let's save. And let's run Zorro. And here we have it. So what the heck just happened here, right? I mean, obviously it's not the same picture, and we got this thick black line at the bottom. Well, it is a 25, so it must be related somehow to our x variable, right? But we didn't ask for a line, we asked for orange dots. Why did we end up with a thick black line with something going on in the middle there? What is this, right? We were expecting a dot, and we got a line and some weird looking line, right? Well, let's zoom. Let's zoom on this line and see what happens, okay? Ah, now it becomes a little more clear. So basically at every bar on the price chart, at every bar we got one orange dot, right? It is an orange dot, right? You can see that, I hope. So these are all little orange dots with a black circle around them, but they are orange. Okay. So what happened here? Well, we got one orange dot as expected, but we got an orange dot for every single bar, in this graph and in this chart. And of course, when you zoom out, they end up looking like a line, and this is why we saw a line in this version, unzoomed version. But they are orange dots, right? But why did we get so many of them? Why did we get one orange dot for every bar? Well, this has actually nothing to do with the plot function, guys. It has nothing to do with the plot function. How many times did this function get executed? If you remember from the first video, I think I mentioned that. So the run function, unlike the main function of a C program, right, which only gets executed once, the run function of a Zorro program gets executed every time when a new bar or data point comes in, right? So for every single bar in the history of the SPY, for the last 7 years or whatever our period was, right? For every trading day, this run function gets executed once, and every single time you get a new orange dot on the chart, right? Now you're gonna say, well, why doesn't Zorro exhibit sort of the same behavior with the moving averages? Well, it kind of does, but they are treated sort of differently. These are series, and Zorro knows that, so it plots them as series, while with the variable x, right, which is a variable of one value, right, uh, it just dots, 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 and dots again and again and again because the value doesn't change. So this is why we ended up with that line made of orange dots. Now, this is a behavior that you can exploit in your scripts, okay? And I'll show you how. So let me get rid of this because we don't need it. I was just trying to make a point here. So let's say you want to plot the average true range, right? Well, as you know, that's a number, okay? So um, it's not a series, if you will. So we can define the ATR today. Let's say ATR here, right? It's type var, right? So it's not an array. It's just a single the single value as the function. Unsurprisingly, ATR 100, right? And of course, Zorro knows that ATR is the average true range. It knows from the asset fix file that the underlying asset is that the SPY. All it needs to calculate the ATR is how many days. How many days do you want this ATR to be calculated on? So let's say 100, right? So now let's say we want to plot this, right? Well, it's not a series. How are we gonna plot it? Well, remember the behavior we've seen before. Although this isn't a series, it is a single value. Every time when Zorro goes, through executes the run function on a new candle, on a new data point, right? This ATR gets calculated, and we expect to obtain a line, right? Like the moving averages, although this is not a series, right? So let's see if we're getting that behavior or not. All right, so okay, plot, of course, same function, and average, oops, sorry about that, average true range, right? And we are going to plot the ATR as defined as a variable, and we want a line. Okay, we're not gonna go on with the dots. We just want a line, and um, let's make it red. It's gonna get confusing, but there is a solution to that. Anyway, so let's make it orange. I'm sorry, because otherwise we won't know which one is which, the fast moving average and the ATR. All right, so the ATR is orange, the fast moving average is red, and the slow one is blue. Okay, and now we can see the result here. Okay, so the moving averages, the price, the trades, and down here in orange is the average true range. Now, this line is pretty flat, right? It's pretty flat, although um, there is a lot of volatility here and there, like here and here. This is the coronavirus, the corona drawdown, right? And the ATR doesn't seem to fluctuate that much, right? So why is that? Well, that is because we plotted it on the same chart with the moving averages, and it has been scaled in a way, if you will, because the values that the ATR takes are way smaller than what the price does. Okay, so how do we get a more suggestive picture of this ATR values? Well, I think I would like to see this on its own chart. I would like to see the ATR on its own, depicted on its own chart. Before I show you how to do that, let me point you to the legend up here, right? So you see slow moving average, fast moving average, and it shows us the colors and the average true range. So whatever you put in in the first argument of the plot function gets printed up here. Okay, so you'll know which one is which, what is what. Okay, the first argument, the string argument of the plot function goes here. Okay. All right, so how do we give this guy the average true range? How do we give this guy its own chart? We would like to see it at the same time, with these other guys, but the moving averages and the price, but on a different chart. So how do we do that? Well, you simply replace the word line here. You simply replace the word line here with the word new. All right, this is some sort of a Zorroism because new is not line type, but but this is how Zorro works. Maybe a bit counterintuitive, but it is what it is. Just remember it. So when you want the values of some parameter to be plotted in a new chart, then you use this type here, new. Okay, so let's save that, and then let's run Zorro again. Aha, there you go. So now, since the scaling is in this new chart, the scaling of the average true range is appropriate for its own values. So the scaling of these two graphs, this one and this one, the scaling is different. Okay, so this goes from 0.5 to 6.5, right? And now you can see how the average true range actually fluctuates a lot when we have high volatility, right? But you couldn't see that when these were on a single chart, because this upper chart here is scaled from 150 to 340, and this guy here is just sort of just a blip on that thing, right? So and you can see that now the first argument of the plot function is printed here. Okay, now what happens if I keep plotting? All right, what happens if I keep plotting? Where is my next plot function going to be displayed? In the upper chart, in the lower chart, in the new chart? Well, let's see. So, but first we need something to plot, right? So, well, let's take another measure of volatility, one that I like better than the ATR. It's the simple standard deviation from statistics, right? So, STDEV, this is how you do it in R. In Zorro is, of course, different. It capital S T D capital D E V. Okay, so this is an internal Zorro function, and well, of course, you have to tell Zorro what time series to use, and this is the closing prices. So unlike the ATR, where Zorro knows already to use, the price series, the standard deviation is a universal function. So you have to specify the series you're using, and of course the length, the window, which is 100 is fine for this one too. Okay, so now let's plot this. All right. And of course the label is going to be standard deviation. All right, of course the second argument will be the value. And I want a line, and I want it green. All right. Great, so let's save this and run Zorro. All right, so ATR, standard deviation, and they're both plotted on the same chart. Okay, so when we plotted the ATR parameter with the type new, a new chart got created, right? A new chart got created here, right? After this new type, and everything else that's being plotted after this line, everything else that gets plotted after this line, no matter what it is, will get plotted in the same chart, right? So the standard deviation, right, didn't get its own new chart, it got plotted on the same chart as the ATR. Good idea, bad idea? Well, it depends. Remember how clear the fluctuation of the ATR was? Well, it's not that clear anymore. It's still better than plotting it up here, but since the standard deviation fluctuates differently, uh, I wouldn't say more. Well, it does fluctuate more, but it fluctuates differently than the ATR, right? The scaling here now is different than it was. It doesn't go from 0.5 to 6.5. It goes from 0 to 35, right? And the ATR graph got squashed a little bit. All right, so what if I want the standard deviation to live in a chart of its own? Well, again, our good friend, the new type. Okay, we save this, we run this again, and now we can see a clearer picture, right, of these two indicators, variables, whatever you want to call them. Right? Actually, a standard deviation is not, I don't think it's considered a technical indicator, but the average true range is. Okay, so now each one of these gets its own chart, right? So the moving averages and the price are in the upper chart. The other two are below in two different charts. And you can see that the average true range and the standard deviation, although they both measure volatility, right? They react quite differently to the market conditions. So which one is better? Well, that depends. However, as you can see, plotting the ATR and the standard deviation makes it clear to the naked eye, right, that these two things, although they are supposed to measure volatility, right, they do it in very different ways. And it would have been probably very difficult to tell that without plotting them and looking at the graphs, right? All right, so this concludes my little video about the most basic plotting functionality in Zorro, and I want to thank one of the viewers who has pointed out in one of the comments that, oh, you can plot everything in Zorro if you add, a couple of functions in the end. So actually it was that comment that inspired me to make this video. So guys, please keep commenting, right? If you like this video, give me a like, and eventually visit my website and whatnot. And if you want me to make another video on some other Zorro topic, please feel free to leave a comment, and I'll do my best to accommodate. All right, I hope you enjoyed Zorro and this video, and happy trading.